rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter live, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter live, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter live, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter live. Yuba-Sutter live.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Special presentations. Item 574, Yuba County Crop Report. Steve, I think, is here.
All right. Good morning, Chairman Blaser, honorable board members, Stephen Shear, Ag Commissioner. I'd like to thank the board and the CAO's office for your continued support over the last few years, and also my privilege to present the 2023 Yuba County Crop Report. Please take the opportunity to ask questions at any time. However, there should be plenty of time at the end of the presentation as well for any questions you may have. So the gross value of Yuba County's ag production for 2023 is up by about 4% from 2022, a total of about 256 million. Ag production increased slightly in 2023, with the most notable increase in kiwi values due to increased yields. Also, when using the value added multiplier identified in our crop report plus study from several years ago, the total value of ag in Yuba County is estimated to be approximately $417 million. And this is due to the value added to the Yuba County economy through ag-related jobs, local processing, and other economic multipliers. 1 in 11 jobs in Yuba County is directly attributed to agriculture. Review of our leading crop trends: kiwi, walnut, livestock, all, peach, almonds, and timber increase in value.
Steve, if you could maybe pull the, you can grab it with your mouse and move that little bar at the bottom so that you can see that.
Where do I put that? Just somewhere
You can
else?
put it maybe up at the top. Just kind of grab it and pull it to the top.
That better?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, where was I? Increases in kiwi, walnut, livestock, all, peach, almonds, timber in 2023, while rice and prunes saw decreases. Rice, which is our #1 crop, saw the biggest decrease in value in 23 at a total of $67 million, which is down approximately $46 million from the 2022 values. That's due primarily to crop prices being lower. Despite the big rice to the loss in value in rice, increases in the value of our other commodities, and Yuba County allowed overall crop values for the county to make some gains. So our top 10 crops, rice remains our top crop at a value of 67 million, eclipsing kiwis at number 2 with a value of 51 million. Walnuts remain at third spot at 25 million, while livestock all drops to fourth at 25 million in 2023. Our prune industry comes in at number 5, generating nearly $24 million in value. Rounding out the rest of the crops in order of value are peaches, pasture, almonds, nursery stock, and timber.
Did you say the decrease in the rice was it acreage or price?
Price.
Price.
Commodity price fell quite a bit for rice this in 23.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Livestock and apiculture are also highlighted within the crop report. I don't usually talk about them in this report, but as you know, we have a very successful dairy in Yuba County. However, since we only have one, we cannot divulge their earnings, so we lump them in to a category livestock all. I know that's been a question in the past. So livestock all includes cattle and calves, and dairy. So that's to protect the earnings statements of small producers. That's how the crop report set up. So anyway, the apiary figures are derived solely from pollination values within our county. We don't have any apiaries within the county that are reporting honey cells or queen cells out of country. We do have some locally in Sutter County, but they're not housed in Yuba, so they're not in our crop report. So, farmers markets, Yuba County has 3 certified farmers markets and 30 local certified producers. They're located in Wheatland, Dobbins, and Brownsville. These markets allow smaller producers to make their products available to local consumers without being subject to fruit and vegetable standardization regulations, things such as standard packaging regulations and labeling requirements that are hard to do for a very small producer. Phytosanitary exports. So in 2023, my office inspected 398 different inspections of Yuba County ag products. This allowed for phytosanitary certificates to be issued for domestic and international shipments. A total of 44,253,280 pounds of grapevines, kiwis, prunes, and walnuts were exported to 31 different countries around the world from Yuba County. So this is a brief summary of some of the highlights of the crop report. There's much more data in there and crops broken down by different categories. So please feel free to review that at your leisure and contact my department if you have any questions about that. I want to take this opportunity just to quickly go over some of our department activities. So our program hours breakdown, we do the majority of our work in 3 main areas. Pesticide use enforcement is about 59% of our workload, where we conduct inspections, issue permits, and value environmental conditions prior to pesticide applications, and perform illness investigations for any illnesses due to pesticides within the county. 25% of our workload is pest exclusion and detection. We're ensuring ag pests are not introduced into the county. We inspect agricultural packages and certify commodities for export, as well as treating for noxious weeds where we find them. And 7% is our weights and measures, which is consumer protection program. The remainder of workload is expended in fruit and vegetable, nursery, crop statistics, and seed enforcement work. As I said, 7% of the department's workload is in weights and measures. In these programs, we're enforcing the accuracy of gas pumps, retail scales, electric meters, and any other commercial weighing or measuring device within the county. These programs include device registration, quantity control, price verification, service agent registration, weighmaster, and petroleum programs. These might be a little small to read up here, but we have 173 different registered establishments within the county that have commercial devices, and where there are 2,553 commercial devices within the county, the vast majority of which are certified and sealed by my department as accurate on a yearly basis. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank Stephen Anderson from our department, who compiles and edits the crop report data itself, as well as the rest of my staff that contributed by gathering the data, proofing the document, and providing pictures of local agriculture and ag operations. A press release will be issued regarding the availability of the crop report, and we will post it on our website today. In closing, some segments of our ag industry are doing better than others, but the diversity of ag in Yuba County allows it to weather adversity and provide stable economic benefits for our county. Farming is a demanding and difficult job, even when things are going well. It can be especially difficult given climatic, workforce, and regulatory challenges growers face every year. I'd like to recognize the resiliency and dedication of our farmers as agriculture continues to be of critical and vital economic importance to our county, our region, and the world. Are there any questions?
If I may. On the top export countries, I'm just curious, China went down by 5 million pounds. Is that mostly walnuts?
I believe so. I would have to look at the numbers back there.
And then just another country.
Those fluctuate every year.
That seems significant.
Yeah, so we do ship a lot of walnuts to China. I did not dig into that necessarily. Over the years, we do see big swings in where commodities are going, depending on trade, commodity prices, how walnuts are doing in other parts of the world, things of that nature.
And then the other name that jumps out at me because of the recent events is Lebanon, third and fifth biggest export country too. I did not realize that. Do you know what we're exporting to them?
I would have to look that up. Okay. I would have to assume it's walnuts or almonds possibly, but I can't tell you that. Most of our, not offhand, I can't. Most of our grapes go to Canada, some of our nursery stock. So it's pretty interesting how much the commodities change and what regions they're going to. It depends on politics, right? One tariff can change the total landscape. So
Except the Lebanon, so that's why I was curious.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting how some of those work. And we do have the data. I could dig into those if you really want that information. It's pretty easy to dig out of the system.
So I want to make a comment through the chair, Steve. The Dobbins Farmers Market and Brownsville Farmers Market both have gone on their own and gotten certified to receive EBT. So they're actually able to sell the people that really can't so much afford to drive to town and get fruits and vegetables on that EBT thing right there at the farmers market, which is great up there in the communities. And the other thing, could I get another copy of this? Because I know it's on the front page, Sutter Butte Dusters airplane.
Yeah, and I want plenty of copies.
Okay, I want to take some
more copies.
Yeah, I want to take some to Mike Sue at Sutter Butte Dusters and
sure,
take him at least one.
No problem.
Since his airplane's on there. That's it. Thank you.
So on the rice price, I assume that's because of an oversupply, maybe, or?
There's more supply. The prices were fairly elevated when there were water shortages, right? So we did very well because we did not experience a water shortage in Yuba County during those drought years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We were producing rice when other counties were not producing rice. That naturally, when rice production comes back up, the prices fall. So
right.
It's just market forces like that.
And I hadn't really paid much attention to kiwi, but I was kind of surprised. Has this been coming back for a couple of years?
So So kiwis is mostly production. So when I started here in 2016, Sun Pacific had bought 1,000 acres of land along the Yuba River off D'Antoni Road, right? So when I got here, they were just starting to plant that acreage. And so in the years following that, they planted 1,000 acres of kiwis. And they have a different marketing strategy than some other kiwi producers because they can provide fresh kiwis year round to chain supermarkets. So that gives them a distinct advantage. So that is probably the majority of that price difference is those kiwis, 1,000 acres coming into production. I think off the top of my head, I think that roughly doubled our kiwi acreage, that one operation, if not more.
Yeah, because kiwis, was it back in the 70s? I don't know, when everybody was planting kiwis in their backyard because they were going to make a killing and retire
Yes,
off the
that
kiwis.
was, the only people that made money were the kiwi nurseries.
Yeah.
People were selling kiwi plants to people that thought they were going to make a lot of money. Yeah, that's a classic example.
Yeah.
So that industry has suffered, over time. It's like prunes and everything else. A lot of those kiwi operations went out of business. We do have several here that are very, very viable at this time. There are a lot more varieties of kiwis that are supposed to be more acceptable to people. So they're trying to hit these market niches and bring different kiwis to
Yes,
the market.
it's golden.
Yeah, that's the golden kiwi. That's one of them. And I know that one of our other bigger kiwi operations has a planting of those.
Yeah.
And some of those varieties are hard to grow and hard to propagate. So, but yeah, kiwis that's when I came here. I think kiwis were number 10. I can't remember. It's been like 8 years now,
Yeah.
but they were definitely way down the top 10 list.
Well, it's like any other crop, these big cycles.
Yeah.
Any more questions from the board?
Nope.
Well, we look forward to your presentation every year, so thanks for all the detail.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
So next up is 580, and it looks like that will be Rachel Downs. Quarterly update from the Community Development and Services Department.
There we go. Can you guys see that? Okay, great. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Rachel Downs. I am your Business Engagement Manager out of Community Development. It's always my pleasure to share with you our quarterly development report, which is, as you know, a accumulation of projects, both private and public, through our planning, building, environmental health, and public works and other CDSA departments. Once I'm complete, I'm going to go through those departments and those special projects for you. But our focus today on this presentation and in this quarter is going to be presented by Mike Lee, our Community Development Director, about the library. So first, we're going to move into our planning department. There we go. We received a number of applications for a few new projects this quarter, including a conditional use permit for GS Bain's truck and trailer repair on Arboga Road, as well as a lot line adjustment to merge multiple parcels at the existing Earl Road storage facilities. We also received a new subdivision map application and rezone request for a subdivision proposed that's called East Side Ranch Estates, located off Griffith Avenue. This property is currently zoned rural estate. A single-family residential zoning would allow for additional density on this map, and the new subdivision would expand housing options in Linda, noteworthy for our military families and its convenient proximity to Beale Air Force Base. Another application that we received through the planning department was for a lot line adjustment next to the existing PG&E facilities off Rancho Road. The current parcel line is here. And this lot line adjustment would move the parcel line to here. This would allow for future expansion of the PG&E courtyard and future facilities. Moving on to approved projects. Through our planning department, we received a number of home-based business zoning confirmations, including one called Plank and Steel, which is an engraving and laser shop in Arboga, operating out of an existing shop on their property, and quite a new few cottage bakeries. I don't know if it's the fall weather or the pumpkin spice vibes, but there are a lot of cottage food bakeries that popped up this quarter. So that's kind of a new and exciting, unique home-based business that we don't always see coming up on our radar there. And another approved application that was routed through our planning department. This one is quite unique and innovative, coming to us out of Plumas Lake. It's called Wonderwood's Early Education. This is a rebranded and expanding childcare business located within a personal residence, which is currently limited to 14 children due to licensing requirements because it's home-based. Our department has been working with the owner, Destiny, for about 2 years now, navigating various expansion options to create a standalone facility so she can increase capacity. As we all know, commercial buildings in Plumas Lake currently are limited, and also they're expensive to build new facilities anywhere. And existing residences, which others have converted into standalone childcare facilities in other communities, typically require major improvements, renovations, and they often don't meet parking requirements. Thus, Destiny approached the county with a very unique idea and a creative solution, which was to purchase a model home and an adjacent parking lot from one of the home builders and see if the county would be open to her converting that into a standalone childcare facility. So if you fast forward to now, the Development Review Committee passed this project, this use permit last week, and Destiny has purchased or is in contract to purchase model home plans from Cresley and two currently vacant lots. And then she will hire a licensed contractor to build the model home and then later install a parking lot allowing capacity for up to 30 students. So that's an increased capacity of 16 kids that will have childcare available to them. And it's kind of a win-win for the community. As you know, childcare is one of the biggest barriers to employment for a lot of working parents, as well as Cresley has really embraced this project. The images that you can see are renderings of what they're anticipating the facility to look like. And it's been a great selling point for Cresley as they're rolling out this new subdivision as well. All right, moving on to additional approved projects was a parcel map on McGowan Parkway in Olivehurst, directly south of the existing Dollar General. So this 1.5 acres will accommodate a new O'Reilly Auto Parts location, providing additional jobs and sales tax generation in the community of Olivehurst. Building permits have been previously submitted and are currently under review. I would say that we could expect construction potentially at this site as early as 2025. Just to be more specific, here is the Dollar General. Directly south of that is the parcel that is where the O'Reilly's is proposed at. All right. Finally, our North Point subdivision received design review approval this quarter. If you recall, this map was in our last quarterly development update as the subdivision was recorded, creating an additional 212 lots, which is the final planned subdivision east of Highway 70 in Plumas Lake. Okay, and additional maps that were recorded this quarter were 6 additional residential lots on Garden Avenue in West Linda, a large lot map at Ross Ranch in Plumas Lake. If you recall, this future subdivision had a previous large lot map, and basically what this map did was just subdivide those large lots into slightly smaller large lots so that the developers could move through phase development.
Rachel, can you back
Yes,
up
sir.
to that Garden Avenue?
Yes.
Is that I'm trying to figure out where that is on Garden.
The map notes that there's Kimber Drive right here, and then Cedar Lane would be up here. So I would imagine that Cedar Lane School would be about where my mouse is.
And Garden, oh, okay. So it's on the east side of Garden.
East side of Garden. Thanks, Kevin.
That went away and the applicant subdivided it to create 6 lots. But
Okay.
it is on the east side, just south of Cedar Lane.
But on the west side are those other disrepair, whatever.
Yes.
Yes.
The other mobile home park on the west
Okay,
side. of it.
so
This
it's
is
not
on the east side and it was an old mobile home park that was in somewhat of.
Sort of across from the other one?
A
More or
little bit to the
less.
north, a little bit to the north.
Okay, thanks.
If I may, while Kevin's up here, bug him about some other questions. On the conditional permit for the place that had the fire, are they moving forward with rebuilding there or with a conditional permit, or no, that's not happening anymore?
Yes, they have reached out to the planner was working on the conditional use permit, and they said that they are planning on rebuilding on the site. They're just waiting to, once they get everything done with their insurance and the cleanup of the site, resubmitting plans to us for their new facility there.
Do we know what the cause of the fire was?
I don't at this time.
Okay. So that, I mean, I assume that it's going to be an extra obstacle for them to dealing with whatever the cause of the fire was and the fact that they had a unpermitted business there that caused the fire for the new conditional permit?
So for this new conditional use permit, one of the things that are nice about conditional use permits is we do get to regulate somewhat with conditions of approval on making sure that buildings meet fire safety standards. Any storage of tires are stored in a way that meet state requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So things will be conditioned for them to have an onboard establishment that meets state requirements.
Was there propane tank explosions for the last one?
That I don't know. I haven't talked to the fire department about the cause or what went on with that.
All right. And then my other question was just about planning in general. When is the break points where they have to put in a park or they have to put in commercial? Because we have a couple different things that we're doing 100 units or 200 units. What is the point at which they need to start having backed up and not just wall to wall houses?
Yeah. So as part of MAP requirements in the state of California, they have to build or provide parkland dedication based off the number of units. So each map, I forget what the calculation is, but there is a requirement that they either have to build as part of their project park to satisfy their parkland requirements, or they pay in lieu fees that would then go to maybe fund a regional park or other things of that nature.
Okay, so when there's a 200 unit plan, they are not going to build a park. They're going to pay an in lieu fee, and we're going to build a park later.
Or they could build the park and not have to pay the in lieu fees. So just some of that is developer dependent, and some of that is staff when they review the property. You know, if it's a 500 unit subdivision, you know, there should be a park in there and not, you know, rely on a regional park to provide the park needs for the residents.
Okay, and then that covers parks. Is there something equivalent for commercial space or not so much?
All of that would be looked at as part of a development code updates, general plan updates. We would look at big vision of the number of residential versus commercial versus industrial land that we review to make sure that the county has enough for our future growth. That would be more long range planning type of ideas. So
I guess my question is, I love what Wonderwoods is doing by providing that inside the residential area, because obviously if childcare is 10 miles away, that's not as useful as it being in your neighborhood. The same thing applies to other commercial stuff. We don't have a current program, is what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, of where we say, hey, in the same way we're going to allocate parks, either with in lieu or you build or leave commercial space available. We don't have that effectively.
yeah, not for childcare. That's all.
Well, I mean, for any
Yeah,
commercial.
no, yeah. It's open market.
Thank you.
So I have kind of a same question I was going to ask. So we're mandated to have a certain percent parks, et cetera, right? But it's nothing to prevent us from being creative.
That is correct.
and doing whatever we want. Because these subdivisions that we see, at least the vision we see on the screen, are really ugly. They don't look at all appealing. But we have had presentations of more creative designs that do go on. And I don't know if we're to the point in the county where we can be a little more creative about some of these subdivisions.
If I could, through the chair, that might be a nice segue for Kevin to talk about the general plan update, specific plan updates, things that long-range planning that kind of leads down that path of what do we want our future communities to look like?
Yeah, because I think some of our subdivision planning goes back 30 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but as Kevin was mentioning, and I discussed to your board at the budget hearings, we are planning on updating our Plumas Lake specific plan and our general plan. We're most likely going to put out RFPs to hire the consultants this fall and start the projects in 2025. But the nice thing about these updates are we can put in more requirements for subdivision design and just relook at how we want to do everything moving forward. So this is the questions that both Supervisor Fuhrer and you are asking. We will have the opportunity soon to change those requirements or add, delete, whatever we want to do. And that will be part of long-range planning process through the general plan and also the Plumas Lake specific plan.
Yeah, because we might be to the point in the county where we're not pushing so much for quantity, but maybe now we can focus more on the quality.
I think that would be a great idea.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
I lost track. Where are you, Rachel?
Nope, not at all. Great conversation. Okay, so just in case I didn't cover it, I just want to say lastly, our last recorded map for this quarter was Rio del Oro Village 18 and 20. This created an additional 178 lots in Plumas Lake. For those that are following along in all of our subdivision growth, this property was also previously known as Dana 70, just in case that tracks as well. Okay, so really quick, moving on to our building department and a couple other things before we take it away with the library, trying to stay on track for you guys here. This slide is just really quickly our building department year over year broken down amongst quarters. And so while there's a couple little variations here, really what this slide shows is a generally consistent pace of development, and this is all permit types. What is more interesting, or at least particularly interesting, from this specific quarter was a high uptick in production homes, which is over 250. That was kind of a noteworthy difference. Again, that's residential or production home permits issued this quarter, notably higher than the same quarter of previous years. Additionally, we are on pace to meet or exceed the average total number of production homes given final occupancy, as you can see on the right-hand side. So if the remainder of the year stays on pace, the county can expect to have approximately 450 new homes in the 2020 calendar year. Okay. Now, all of those homes, very much in line with the conversation we were just having, hopefully are driving new customers to local businesses. So we've had a number of commercial building permits this quarter as well, one of which was a change of owner and interior repairs to the Shop and Save in Loma Rica, a new business called Power Up Nutrition in Olivehurst, next to Irma Jeans and the grocery store, and then multiple expansions at Bishop's Pumpkin Farm to the Cookie Factory, new slushy drinks, all very sugary and very exciting, and a cold storage expansion at Richard's Grass-Fed Beef in Oregon House, allowing them to better penetrate the local market with their highly sustainable quality meat products. And then also I want to call out that Olivehurst received a new business locate this quarter as well called BK Valves. They are a wastewater and hydropower design and construction firm. This company is headquartered actually out of San Diego, and they previously had a Northern California office in Loomis that they relocated and expanded on Skyway in one of the buzz boxes, if you will, in Olivehurst. So we have already reached out to them and proactively introduced introduce them not only to our partners at the Yuba Water Agency, as well as any of the other local water districts. And I look forward to continue working with them as they expand in our community, creating high-wage engineering jobs in First. And quickly to talk about Public Works, they certainly had no shortage of work this quarter with the completion of the Star Bend Boat Ramp Sediment Removal Project. Please say that one 10 times fast. That one's a tongue twister. And the completion of the East Side Interceptor project. The East Side Interceptor will route drainage from the impacted Linda Drain to the Orchard Detention Basin. This is one of the main projects in the South Yuba Drainage Master Plan and is adjacent to the Goldfields Parkway Road, as well as Goldfields Ranch subdivision being built out by LGI. And lastly.
Rachel, what was in
yes.
that picture?
Oh, I'm sorry. That is the reconstruction of the Los Verhales Bridge, which is 2024 under construction.
Yeah, it's more major than I thought it was going to be.
Yes, it's quite significant.
Pedestrian bridge underneath.
I think that would be really nifty.
Yes.
All right. And I'm sorry, Public Works, I also want to call out, they are working on the Northfield Road Phase 3 project, which connects the previous Northfield Road improvements, Phase 1, Phase 2, to the Goldfields Ranch subdivision, improving the frontage of Yuba College. And so they do expect that bid to go out within the next few months. Construction likely in 2025. Okay. Our airport. The Yuba County Airport has made notable progress this quarter as well. Staff anticipates the lease for the Coca-Cola building to replenish $150,000 of revenue annually for 2 years as the short-term lease is nearly executed. The contract for the monument signs should be in place by the end of the year, with construction improvements completed as soon as spring of or early 2025. And then the 75th anniversary fly-in was definitely a great success, and kudos to Jason and Kimberly as they continue to grow awareness and interest in this great community asset in First. So with all of that, that covers all of our major departments. I'm going to stop talking and give it over to Mike so he can talk to you about the library. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, Chair, fellow board members. I'm Mike Lee with Community Development. And I'm excited to present, and this is Sandeep Sidhu, who basically runs the library. So I'm going to present a slide and then she will follow up with an additional slide. So if you recall, we were in front of your board, I don't know how long it's been now, probably a year ago, with the acceptance of award for a grant for the Building Forward Library Infrastructure Grant Program. So we were successful in getting an approximate $6 million grant for modernizing and renovating the library, which is definitely a need. So we've gone through the process. The architect put together design plans. We bid the project, and I'm happy to report that it's a very rare occasion. We actually got significantly better bids than the engineer's estimate. The engineer's estimate was $4.7 million. I think we got about 7 bids. There was a high interest. When we did the job walk, the library was packed with probably over 100 people between the contractors and subs. And the low bid was about $3.2 million. So significantly under the engineer's estimate, which is great. But now we do have, we want to utilize all the grant funds, obviously. We did hold back on one portion of the library improvements because the engineer's estimate was high and we didn't think there would be adequate funds. And so our intention is to go back and do a supplemental bid or a follow-up bid for what we're calling the tween room. It will be for ages 7 to 13-ish.
I wanted to 8 to 12.
8 to 12, close. And that was going to be in the garage area. That was going to be converted into this tween room. So we will have to have the architect do a second set of bid plans. And then by doing that, we will likely have to also replace the HVAC unit because we'll have additional conditioned space with the tween room. And then we anticipate with the Title 24 energy calculations that we'll likely have to replace the single pane windows with dual pane windows as well. So with the supplemental bid, we're hoping that'll utilize the rest of the grant funds. So as far as construction timeline, the contract should be awarded in the next few weeks. So we're anticipating actual construction start of December with a completion of a year or slightly, potentially more than that. So reopening in early 2026. Along with that, we like to announce that the library will be closing to the public on October 15th. And the plan is to have a temporary mini version library here at the government center in the former HR space. HR has been relocated. That space is now available. And so the library staff are going to be coming over and joining us and utilizing that space in the interim. It'll be more of a traditional, obviously, because it's located here in the government center, it's going to be a more traditional schedule, kind of the Monday through Friday, no Saturdays, 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. Let's see. And then we're planning on opening that space here on November 4th. So we'll have kind of a approximate 2-week close down to allow for the transition and the relocation of some of the library materials. With that, we intend to continue. The library staff does a lot of programming and programs for young kids. And so I'll let Sandeep talk about the final point on this slide and then transition into the next slide. But we do intend to keep those programs going in this interim library transition phase.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Morning, everybody. So with the library moving over here, obviously programs, the services will be scaled down just a little bit, but we do want to continue with our programming. So we like to offer program for school-age children, for teens, and for adults. So right now, we've actually partnered with Health and Human Services. So our first 5 programs, which is the birth to 5-year-olds, will be held at the Packard building over at HHS 3 days a week for about an hour. And then all the other programs, we are working with our partners within the community to secure sites so we can actually go out there and offer programming. But we will be having programming here at the government center. We just need to lock in the dates for the conference rooms. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah.
Sandeep, you've done a really good job on everything, but you do occasionally outdoor events like in the parking lot. Are we going to be able to do those somewhere?
Yes. So our biggest I want to say hit as far as programming is our parking lot events. And although we normally we do them over at the library parking lot, we will be using the government center parking lot as well as the HHS parking lot. Yeah. So we're going to continue with those.
Okay.
And then just to kind of give you an overview for the last fiscal year, the library offered a total of 330 programs on site. We were able to do 8 programs off site, so outreach, with an attendance of over 4,000 attendees. So as I said before, we offer programs that are targeted at parents and babies, preschoolers, school-age children, teens, and adults. The programs include the First 5 Storytime, which is funded by First 5. We have the Baby Bounce, the Scavenger Hunts, which is really, really popular. We like to hide clues throughout the library, and then the kids have to kind of like go check out the different areas within the library just so that they kind of like familiarize themselves with the library setting. We have our Wind Down Wednesdays, which is mostly aimed at, I want to say, adults and teens. So it could be anything from candle making to cross stitch. We also have the Lego clubs. That's quite popular. Basically, you bring your own Legos and you just kind of use the community room space, and you kind of socialize as well as create different things. We've got the Barbie play groups. That's quite popular, especially with the girls. Again, you bring your own Barbies. We supply some items. Then we have the Hot Wheels play groups. Again, same setup. And then we have a book club. We've done the digital literacy class, which was, we partnered with Health and Human Services, and this was for Yuba County residents 65 and over, basically letting them know how to use a Chromebook. So it was a 5-week class. It was free. You attend all 5 sessions. You walk away with a free Chromebook. Okay, that was a really popular program. That's still happening right now, but they had to move to a different site just because we're kind of gearing down to shut down the library. And then obviously we like to do outreach. So the story time at the pumpkin patch, that's always popular. We've got another one coming this month. And then we have our community helper story time, which is we like to bring in, like, for example, firefighters, any community members. So we might actually hit up the Board of Supervisors when we're over here to do a story time with us, if you guys are willing to do that. So for the 0 to 5-year-olds, we offered a total of 172 programs last year with an attendance of over 1,000 families. And then the parking lot events, as I said, those are always popular. So we always get over 350 attendees at each event. And like I said, we hope to continue this when we're over here.
And with that, then we're happy to answer any questions, and additional staff is available if we need to pull them up.
Through the chair, no questions, just some comments. So Sandeep, it's just so impressive, the amount of programming that you guys have at the library. My wife isn't on social media a ton, but she's on the library commission, and she shares those library posts about all your things every single time there's one. And it seems like almost daily there's some programming going on out of the library for people in the community. And to hear that you did 330, that sounds like, you know, that's out of a year, that is almost daily, and 4,500 people participated. That's just incredible. So that's a huge asset to our community. So thank you for all the work in that. And then I just wanted to echo what Supervisor Fuhrer and Blaser said related to subdivision planning in the future, and really trying to take the opportunity with the general plan update and the Plumas Lake specific plan update to really focus on updating design standards and quality of communities as we move forward and kind of bringing those into the 21st century. So, and I'm looking forward to participating in that.
We have a quality of life fund, if I understand the mechanics of how the funding works. And part of that was, I imagine, going to be used as the local part of our commitment for the $6 million in grants. Did we have community quality of life funding left afterwards because the grants covered so much because we got so much in grants, or no,
Yes.
All of it got committed as our copay?
No, we intend to utilize the grant funding first. There are certain aspects that the grant will cover, in particular furniture. We are looking at modernizing and upgrading the shelving, because we don't want to have a brand new looking facility and then this old looking shelving that just doesn't go. So if we were getting some quotes on that, we would utilize the quality of life impact fees for those types of ineligible line items.
Okay, so we're still looking at exhausting the quality of life fund? We are not.
No.
So what do we see as the leftover of the quality of life fund after the completion of expenditures necessary with the library?
I'm going by memory. I think we're between 1.5 to 2 million-ish in the quality of life trust balance right now. Don't quote me, but that's my if memory recalls. We had originally slated to spend up to, I think, about $1 million or low millions for with this project. I don't think we're going to even approach that. Again, these are just kind of ballparkish. Let's estimate maybe we'll spend $500,000 of the quality of life trust fund dollars for this project.
Cool.
So there will be a balance remaining at the end of it.
One of the things that the quality of life fund, and I don't know all of the things obviously it can be spent on, but for the computers, for the library, do we still see a lot of people using the computers in the library for public use? Is that still a very active?
So we've noticed that there's been a decline.
Oh, okay, great.
So a lot of people bring in their own devices. So they want to connect to the Wi-Fi. They want Wi-Fi printing. So that's what we're going to do when we move back in after the renovation, is have less public computers. We'll still have some, but more space for people to kind of sit and use their own devices.
Perfect.
Have a good Wi-Fi connection.
And so along that same line of thought, for the quality of life fund, having those same areas of providing Wi-Fi throughout Linda and Olivehurst would also be very nice.
Yeah, well, we'll look into that.
Enjoyed the presentation. Of course, I'm fairly involved in the library thing, but I got to back up a minute to questions during Rachel's presentation, which I sort of forgot to ask. I'm really excited about the home bakery industry, but so when you're in the county, you're not quite it's not quite as restrictive as far as health department. What kind of rules do home-based bakeries have to?
I will defer that to Clark Piquel, our environmental health director. Put you on the spot, Clark.
Environmental Health Director. They're basically looking at non-potentially hazardous food. So the restriction stays with non-potentially hazardous food. They have a very strict food list that they have to go by, and some labeling requirements. Other than that, it's a pretty simple process. But
yeah, nothing like what they would face in the city.
Clark, that would be good to specify. It's a statewide.
Yeah. Cottage food is a statewide.
Okay.
So it's delivered to us by the state. Rules are followed throughout California, unless you have an ordinance that makes it more strict or something like that.
Well, I'm really glad they're able to do it because I like pastries.
And like I think it was Rachel or somebody was bringing up, we're getting a lot. I mean, my food inspector is overwhelmed by the amount of applications. So.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Rachel might have mentioned it, but did you give us a little update on the Goldfields Parkway?
On the roadway project?
Yeah, I think that we were going to try to go from Northfield to Hamilton, Smartsville, maybe this year.
We did. As the East Side Interceptor was constructed, we did the rough grading for the road bed, which is going to be adjacent to the East Side Interceptor. So basically kind of stripping all the weeds and stuff out of the way, and then grading the rough subgrade for the roadway. So now we will release a project for the actual road construction, putting down the aggregate base and the paving with an intention of constructing that next year.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, just one more comment. I forgot to mention how excited I am about Wonder Woods, and want to thank staff for their effort on that. It's desperately needed in the community. So, and it's very innovative. So great job.
Thank you. And Rachel for the presentation.
Thank you. As always, we appreciate your board's support.
We have one more, 592, and this has to do with the Feather River Boulevard fire situation.
Morning, Chairman Blaser and the rest of the board. My name is Clark Piquel. I'm the Director of Environmental Health. Here today to provide an update on the property at 4533 Feather River Boulevard. Before getting into the slides here, I'd like to go over some laws that are impacting green waste on a statewide level. SB 1383 requires diversion of green waste from landfills. Of course, this has caused saturation in the market. It also is very expensive to now dispose of green waste. At the same time, a new general order from the State Water Board came out impacting composting facilities as well. It required a significant additional infrastructure to operate a compost facility. Operational pads, lined ponds, leachate testing represented hundreds of thousands of dollars in new investment for these facilities, which in turn caused the closure of most small compost facilities. Wood waste from wildfires have also increased dramatically, and it's again causing additional saturation in the market of all this wood waste and green waste materials. At this time, Yuba and Sutter counties only has one chip and grind, which is struggling to stay open, and they're trying to sell at this time. And Recology is the only composting facility we have, and they're operating at capacity. That includes most of the other big composting facilities I know around here is Butte County as well. This is significantly impacting processing facilities. And of course, when processing facilities are impacted, we are in turn impacting those businesses that are generating green waste. So it's having a very, very difficult impact on these facilities. And this is statewide. I think, one agency doesn't know what another agency does. So you have a water board doing one thing, you have the CalRecycle doing another thing, and it caused a lot of unintended consequences. Now turning back to the property, what you see in this first slide is a picture of Green Solutions Chip and Grind just prior to its closure in 2019. Again, its closure was due to a lack of profitability. They can't stay open. They're struggling. This shows the property shortly after the new tenant took over. It is our understanding that this was done as a handshake deal by the owner and the tenant as a lease to own. So it's basically an old school, hey, you promised to pay, and I promised to give you the property. As you can see in the slide, the tenant scraped the entire property and deposited the material on the north side of the building. And we believe that to be mostly soil. He also started to apply soil amendments to the property, and he introduced livestock. Sometime in 2020, the tenant began to receive green waste and stockpiled on and around the original soil pile. And we believe it was to create additional soil amendments for his property, but he literally placed all the green waste right on top of the soil. Based on what we were able to gather, the property remained relatively static at that time through 2021 and 2022. It is also our understanding that the tenant had stopped any lease payments sometime in the late 2020, and he became a squatter property. In January of 2023, the property owner verbally rescinded the offer to purchase the property and started formal proceedings to evict the squatter. This caused a lot of conflict. At this point, it is our understanding the tenant, or what we would call a squatter, started to purposely receive green waste and dump it on the back of the property. And I think this was absolutely vindictive, not even for the money he was receiving. He was actually trying to cause problems on the back of the property. He abandoned the property in October of 23. After that, a close family friend of the property owner came on to manage the property sometime in late November. He also started to receive waste in an attempt to finance equipment to process the material. I think he really wanted to process the material. He thought there was still money in it. He was old school. He used to do it in the past. And he believed that the situation was the same as it was today, and it's absolutely not. He was responsible for the material that's stockpiled in the front of the property. In January of 2024, the county received a complaint from Linda County Fire regarding a fire breaking out of the facility. In March, code enforcement was able to set up a joint department inspection. Environmental Health issued a cease and desist to the property manager in April, which he has complied with. At the same time, Environmental Health also requested assistance from CalRecycle. This is kind of our current conditions. Slightly changed due to a fire, but this picture is of a Cal OES flyover conducted on May 7th, 2024 for Linda County Fire. The actual material on the west side of the building, you can see where the cut went through that we did as a fire protection, which ended up not working, but it burned that material on the west side of the building right there. That's actually not there anymore. This slide shows the final disposition of the material in an acreage basis. Again, that kind of arm on the front of the building is not there anymore. Since June, Environmental Health has been working with CalRecycle to evaluate options for the remediation of the site. It was decided by CalRecycle that the county could use the funding to remediate the property more effectively. And at first, I was a little bit kind of wishing that CalRecycle would have taken it on. But after seeing the way CalRecycle does contracting and the costs that they go through, I think it was a smart move on offering the money back to us. CalRecycle has approved an initial grant of $500,000 to the county and is committed to additional grant funding moving forward. We are currently waiting on CalRecycle Legal to release the grant agreement, which will provide the guidelines for moving forward with contracting. CalRecycle, as the state lead on solid waste, will also be providing the county with technical assistance as we move through the remediation process. As we have been working through the funding process, we have also continued to actively work with contractors. What we're really doing is we've been educating ourselves on all the different technologies that are out there, what makes sense, what will get the most bang for our buck. Had some good options presented to us, so much cheaper than we saw with CalRecycle's initial offering with our contractor. In closing, for the knowledge of the board, I want to let you know that the owner is fully cooperating. However, he's 81. He lives in Magalia. He is currently undergoing chemo treatments for cancer. He just had a stroke recently. He and his wife are living on Social Security, and the retirement income outside of the Social Security was unfortunately from this property. The owner wants to rectify the situation, but does not have, in my opinion, does not have the mental, physical, or financial resources to deal with the issue. With that, I'll take any questions.
Actually, if I could, through the chair, Clark, did you specify the grant from the state to the county? Is there a repayment mechanism?
A repayment to them? No, it's a grant. It's
purely a grant.
It's purely a grant.
There was also going to be a lien attached to the property for CalRecycle?
Absolutely. That's one of the requirements. That the cost recovery for the state must seek cost recovery.
Okay, so is that the 500,000 or is that other? Is that in addition to the 500,000?
That'll be every dollar spent on the property from then on.
Okay, so it's not a grant. So
well, it's not a grant. It's a grant to us, but it's not a grant to the property.
So it'll be liened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be liened. They have, the state's got to seek cost recovery.
And then are there criminal proceedings that can be taken against the squatter who purposefully sabotaged the property?
Yeah, we've sent all that material to the state's enforcement branch, so they're working on that.
Okay, and then the family member who then took over afterwards and acquired even more debris, that was not intentional criminality, but obviously created more problems. Is that person going to be financially liable?
He will be held financially liable, but he's actually still helping out with the property. He's spending huge financial resources right now to try to help. So, in fact, he's putting himself into bankruptcy.
Okay,
trying to do it.
And then and it wasn't criminally intentional there. So that's a different situation.
No, he's been doing. In fact, we're very nervous that he wants to leave or everything because he's put out so much work and he's got a person on site all the time.
Awesome.
Paying for water.
And then just outside the box, I'm ignorant of the specifics, so this may not be helpful at all, but we have a group called Tilt Industries who literally make machines to grind up all of these things. Can we ask them to fix this for us?
They'll do it for free.
Well, I mean, not for free, the 500,000 and for.
We've already tried to involve them, actually. So Tilt's already been involved. So we know about that. I think our best option, honestly, is going to be what they're called on-site incinerators.
Brackman isn't going to freak out about that?
No, it's permittable.
Okay.
So these are basically, they have a scrubber on them so that they run water and they have fans and they basically collect all the smoke and then it turns everything into a char, which they can then use on the property. So it's a very good system and actually because of green waste, you're starting to see this happen all across the United States going to that because they just don't know how to deal with green waste. It's too much to actually deal with on as far as composting or applying on land. In fact, in the South, the big problem is they're processing these things like through grinders. And then what they're doing is they're land applying it, but they're not land applying it at the 6 inches to 8 inches to 10 inches that you're allowed. They're applying it at 10 feet, 15 feet.
And so going to that, if we were to grind it all and then give it away to all of the residents in Yuba County at 6 inches increments, that's something that's not doable.
No, we would love to do it. And CalRecycle would be definitely in that. If we could afford it or it made a financial sense, we would definitely look into it as a possibility. They would prefer to have it recycled.
Right.
Versus incinerated.
Right. And then we raise our elevation by 6 inches and everyone will.
It won't anyway because that'll that'll decay back into the ground. But that would be a great method. But the problem is finding enough people that want to take it. Just there's so much of it.
So Cal,
we literally cannot find businesses that want to take it.
A calculation so I can understand it, if we were going to give it away at a 6-inch level, how many acres would that create?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It'd take a lot of math. I mean, we have about 70,000 cubic yards site. Give or take how much soil that's there, because I think we do have a lot of soil in there that we don't know about yet, but there's 70,000 cubic yards is a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So Recology has the same problem. They have an excess of.
Everybody has the same problem.
Right.
What happens is they're struggling to get rid of it as fast as it's coming in.
And that all goes back to, what was the bill number?
SB 1383, which required the diversion. So, but it also it caused problems with composting too. So you don't have all the composters to share the wealth, right? So all the big ones, you only have a few big ones, right? And I don't know if anybody goes to Chico and goes back past Old Durham Wood there, just to get to Chico. I mean, his mounds are probably what 120 feet high. I mean, it makes this thing look like absolutely nothing. And I actually had a conversation with him at the site. We brought him in to see what he could do. And I asked him about how he's dealing with it. He said very carefully.
Yeah. So I think we asked Recology if they would allow a retail seller of compost to come in, but they said, no, it has to go back to farms to complete the circle of
Not by
life.
law.
Yeah.
I think they're going to force the counties and stuff to start purchasing it as well. So I don't know if that's in place yet, but I think that's coming where they're going to actually kind of like the SB 1383, where you're required to buy recycled paper and different things like this. I think it's going to come to the point that they're going to require counties to actually purchase some of this material.
Not a well thought out bill.
Oh, it's very bad. It's
Yeah.
very bad. I think you don't you deal with it too on, have you dealt with it through RWMA at all?
Yeah, it's it was really hard. Well, it's just crazy. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it was very poor. The whole state's struggling with it.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board on this? And I think we have one question from the public. And I think that's Tom. Did you want to come up and ask a question?
I guess my other question is what is our timeline?
We're hoping very soon. It's in a state legal, so that's always a scary thing. But they've assured me that I'm hoping in the next few weeks.
So weeks, awesome.
Yeah, we're looking at weeks. Hopefully.
Okay, and then obviously there's not a lot of space there to break apart the piles. You attempted to do a fire break. Is there other mitigating things that are going to be done to make sure it doesn't catch on fire again?
At this point in time, we're relying on the water. I'm fair, you can never tell with this material to be certain, but the problem they started with and what's been on fire or been the real starting problem is when he put the green waste on top of the soil. You put that on top, you have soil with a bunch of bacteria, it holds the water, you have the green waste, it started composting right away, and they started having fires. That's pretty much, at least talking to Kyle and trying to work with him, seems to be most of the materials burned out of it. It's very hot still, but the materials burned out. What we've run into and where the fires have happened is that heat goes down the sides and then it touches the new materials on either side. And that's really what we had. We've had fires on either side. That's when we cut the break there. We were hoping we cut it, but we didn't cut enough of the heat off and it touched the new material and it burned that new material on the west side. And he had the same problem on the east side. Our mitigation goal is to remove the material, that newer material, and isolate that hill. Because once that hill's isolated, even though it's hot, it's probably not going to do anything. And then we have time to go ahead and screen it and cool it. When we pulled that section out, it was really, really hot, but it cooled almost instantly. It didn't ignite. I think it's just been burning so long that there's just not much material inside of it.
Okay. So after the next couple of weeks, we won't have an air quality issue. We won't have smoldering smoke.
It should be gone. I believe yesterday they took the last little pile, and that was actually from a man-made cause. It wasn't even from. They actually had put a bunch of water on it, and then they took a backhoe or whatever and spread it out. So that should be gone. A lot of the stuff that you see coming out of the main pile is not actually smoke. It's steam. So you have the water coming up, you're steaming up. So I don't think you should be getting anything from it right now.
Thank you.
Or very little.
Good job. Tom.
Good morning, board. Tom McWhorter, all first. Through the chair, you mentioned that the present property owner is 81 years old and receiving very serious medical treatment. And he has Do we know who's going to own the property should he and his wife meet their maker? And are we going to get stuck with Hotel Marysville situation where the owner passes away and then all of a sudden it's like, well, who wants this?
So that's funny that you bring that up because the state's actually working on that in a stipulated agreement with the property owner. What they want to do is require the property owner at the death of the final, either the wife or the husband, to put it up and sell it at fair market value.
Okay, so that'll be a legal document and they won't be able to wrangle out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think we have no more questions on the presentation, but I'm glad you really caught us up on that. It's encouraging.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
I haven't been sleeping a lot at night from that, this mess, so. Thank you.
Hey, Mary, public communication.
Any person may speak about any subject of concern, provided it is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and is not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Please note, no board action can be taken on comments made under this heading. And through the chair, we have one card and we have no one on Zoom.
And could that be Tony?
Of course, Tony Farman.
Good morning, Tony.
Tony Farman, South County, Southeast City. Yeah. More fires. First fire in the Marysville hotel. Got a fire at some guy's house. The green waste for ecology. So that's good. Thank you for your service, Chief Saxon, Kevin, Police Chief Marysville. Thank you for service, Jan Bender, the George lady. Also, I work at Sacramento. Thank you, Dom Blaser, District 2. Also the cowboy, just created Don Blaser's statue too. John Misk, another cowboy, another statue. Great Bradford, DC and Sacramento, DC, I like that. And Seth Fuhrer, the Diversity Award, Diversity Club. And Mary, St. Mary, Tom Porter, the Republican Civil Community guy, again, the sheriff. Sheriff Will Anderson, the lieutenant right there, and also the other sheriff, also know you see police department sergeant. Thank you, Rachel. She's dressed nice, very professional. And thank you, Jeremy, the code enforcement officer, code enforcement. Thank you for your service.
So we're moving to county departments, and as a reminder, the first two items, 575 and 449, we are pulling off of today's agenda to be rescheduled. So all matters listed under county departments are action items, which will be considered and voted on separately. So that brings us down to item 571 from the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff Coroner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Wendell Anderson, Yuba County Sheriff. And the item that I have in front of you is actually a joint resolution from the district attorney and I. And unfortunately, DA Curry was unable to be here due to a prior commitment. I'll read the resolution and give you a brief background, answer any questions. I'll try to be as quick as I can and answer any questions that you may have. The resolution in support of Proposition 36, the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act. Whereas Prop 47 achieved notable success in reducing California's prison population, Prop 47 also led to unintended consequences over the past decade. And whereas unintended consequences of Prop 47 include repeat and often organized retail theft, inner city store closings, and difficulty convincing people to seek drug and mental health diversion and treatment. These unintended consequences can only be corrected by the voters at the ballot box with modest amendments to Proposition 47. Whereas Prop 36, the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act, is a bipartisan measure that provides common sense targeted reforms to Prop 37 that legislative proposals alone are unable to deliver.
And whereas rampant retail theft is harming businesses and residents in California because those who commit these crimes know they'll get away with it, even if they are caught. And whereas the measure will hold repeat offenders accountable for the safety of our communities rather than putting them back on the streets. And whereas the fentanyl crisis has reached alarming levels and is now responsible for 20% of youth deaths in California. Whereas Prop 36, the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act will define fentanyl as a hard drug, hold individuals convicted of trafficking fentanyl accountable, and grant judges greater discretion in sentencing drug traffickers. And whereas breaking the cycle of repeat offenders means addressing the many root causes of retail theft. And whereas Prop 36, the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act provides critical mental health, drug treatment services, and job training within our justice system for people who are homeless and suffering from mental illness or struggling with substance abuse. And whereas it is time for meaningful reforms to our justice system that ensure our communities are safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors that the County of Yuba hereby formally expresses support for Proposition 36, the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act, and the benefit that it will provide for our community safety. And just to give you a little background, I know you're all familiar with Prop 47 and the unintended consequences that came with it. Prop 47 was passed by the voters in 2014, and it was billed as the Safe Schools and Neighborhoods Act. And it has had some terrible consequences for our state and for our community as well. And as you all are probably aware, it reduced numerous felonies down to misdemeanors and ultimately led to those violators being issued citations, released back to our communities, and it's just been a revolving door. This proposition would reform some of those unintended consequences, holding folks accountable, giving judges, prosecutors, and law enforcement the tools that we need to do our job. Rather than issuing citations and releasing these folks back into our community, the courts can hold them accountable by mandating drug treatment programs, mental health treatment should they need it. And that's the gist of it. I know you're all familiar with it, but I'd be happy to sit up here and answer any questions that you may have. And we're asking that you support the resolution.
Actually surprised that, so 47 has been around for 10 years?
Yeah, it was passed by the voters in 2014.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long. So as a reminder, so we'll take board comment, public comment, and then we'll ask for a motion. So do we have any board comment?
I think it needs to be done.
Yes.
And I can also add that, it is a bipartisan bill, and it was, this bill was written by our District Attorneys Association of California, and they put a lot of thought into this bill, the unintended consequences, and how we can fix many of the problems that we have. And Prop 47 took away so many tools from law enforcement. It changed the way that we do business. It changed our jobs, took away the tools that we had to hold folks accountable. So this will bring that back.
Yeah, it seems like 36 is an obvious help, but in my mind, it seems like we could have maybe gone a little further, but I don't know. I didn't write the bills.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Mr. Chairman, but I also know that, it is a bit of a compromise between Prop 47 and this, and I think I can't speak for the District Attorneys Association, but I think it was intended as a compromise so that it could truly be bipartisan.
Okay. Any more board comment? Do we have any comment from the public? So we can ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Nobody opposed? No. Thank you. Next, we have 582. Board of Supervisors recommending the better put my glasses on. 582, Board of Supervisors recommend nomination of representative and alternate to California Association of Counties, CSAC, for next year, Board of Directors for 24-25. So we're going to take nominations for the rep and the alternate to CSAC starting so they have that in place for their next session.
So I'll move to nominate Supervisor Messick as the rep and myself as the alternate.
I would like to second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this? Thank you. Okay, we have a first and a second, and all in favor was?
Aye.
Aye. Nobody's opposed. Thank you. Moving on. Item 536, Sheriff Horner. Approve agreement with Yuba Community College to provide supplemental law enforcement.
Hello, JD Parker with the Sheriff Department. This agenda items for recommendation for service agreement with the Yuba County Sheriff Department and the Yuba College District to provide supplemental law enforcement services. Yuba College has requested the supplemental law enforcement services from the Yuba County Sheriff Department for various special events on campus, sporting events such as that. The scope of the services provide deputies such as traffic control officers and other support personnel as needed. Yuba College will provide the Sheriff's Office advance notice for upcoming special events requiring supplemental law enforcement services. Sheriff's Office will work closely with Yuba College to ensure the necessary personnel are assigned and briefed on event-specific details. And as far as compensation, Yuba Community College District agrees to reimburse the Sheriff's Office for all costs associated with the provision of supplemental law enforcement services. This is not limited to personnel salaries, overtime, equipment use, and administrative fees. The duration of the agreement will be through June of 2029.
So what we have in place now expires when?
We don't have anything in place.
Oh, so this is not an extension of what we've been doing. This is new.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And do we renegotiate the rates every year for costs for?
Yes, that's listed in the contract as far as the deputy salaries go up.
And it doesn't put too much stress on your staff?
No.
Okay. Any board comments? Seeing none, no public comments. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No, so thank you. So next is 584, Community Development and Services. It looks like we have Kevin.
This is Kevin Perkins, Yuba County CDSA. Before you is an amendment to a resolution your board approved in 2001. I'll give you a little background on this. In 2001, the county applied for a CDBG mitigation audible alarm project. And the intention in 2021 was to build towers throughout the foothill community that had these alarm systems on them that, made sound or when there was a natural disaster. And after the HCD approved the grant application in 2022, after it was approved with conversations with HCD, we had a little bit of the cart before the horse that they said, hey, you can't have towers without going through a planning process. And that looked at what sites and involved the community and went through environmental. And so what's before you is an amendment where we're actually changing the scope from a project to a planning grant. So the amended resolution has some language change, but the main change is changing this from a regular CD mitigation to a planning grant. The dollar amount would go from $500,000 to $250,000, the max amount you can have with the CDBG planning grant. And that's a little bit of the history on this right now. If your board were to approve this amendment, the next steps would be to prepare an RFP that we should get out in 2024 that would select a consultant to do the planning grant. The planning grant would happen in 2025. And once that's done, then we can go back out and ask for construction funding for any tower or projects. I'm here to answer any questions that your board might have.
So I understand the planning, the towers. The bigger question is why? Yes. And how prepared are the citizens going to be for this screaming siren and not knowing what it's all about and having heart attacks?
That's a really good question. And that's what the point of going through the planning grant is. The planning grant would allow us to hire a consultant, have public meetings, and actually get input from the residents in the foothill region or the fire, high fire severity zone, if they want this and what it would look like, and all of that type of stuff. So it's not just towers screaming, people freaking out, what's going on. So
yeah, they might think a tsunami is coming.
Public meetings and public outreach on this to develop the plan. I do believe the city of Paradise has actually gone through a planning grant similar to this and have received money for sirens for their community.
So the public obviously will have a chance to voice their opinion on it. And then I guess there's a chance that we may or may not do it.
Absolutely. This is just to authorize a planning grant to do the studies, to do the background work, to see if it's needed, if it's supported in the foothills, and if it is, what that plan would look like, where it'd be located, et cetera, et cetera.
Seth, did you have a question?
I had some comments through the chair. If you could time these, so when your phone goes off and stops your heart, just could go off a second later and restart your heart, that would be great. Because I don't know if you've ever had your phone go off in one of these fires, but it scares me every time. But there's a lot of areas in the foothills that don't have cell service. And I think a planning of something like this would be, let's go find the pockets where there's no cell service and locate them there, because there are people up there that are not being notified. I don't know if you'd be able to cover everybody or whatever, but there's probably areas where it could be helpful.
That was the original intention of the grant, was because of cell service and things of that nature that came out of COVID.
Yeah.
And lack of internet.
Collins Lake, a perfect example, the campground. My phone doesn't work there at all, Collins Lake. So maybe one there to alert the campsite or something. I don't know. It would be a double heart attack in an RV, I guess.
So if communication with people in these dead zones is the problem, would it be more cost effective to have some sort of emergency Starlink contract that would broadcast it as opposed to an antenna and move a little bit more to the 21st century?
That's a really good question. And that's something that we can look at through the planning process of this grant, is how feasible it is, how much it's going to cost to build these traditional sirens versus something else that's like Starlink. So we can address that as part of the planning grant.
So there's really nothing in the county like this, except I think OPUD might have a siren, I think.
I'm not sure on what other agencies outside of the county have.
Okay, so I guess the key is making sure that the residents understand they need to get their input in and show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, okay. Any other questions from the board? Any public input questions? No. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Nobody's opposed. Thanks, Kevin. So Mary, do you want to read the ordinance and public hearings?
Yes, if you challenge in court the action or decision of the Yuba County Board of Supervisors regarding a zoning, planning, land use, or environmental protection matter made at any hearing described in this notice, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at such hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors at or prior to such hearing. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual or group.
Okay, we're at 583. I think Jeremy is up.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Jeremy Strang with Community Development. Item 583 is an ordinance that introduces amendments to Chapter 2.41 of the Yuba County Ordinance Code. I don't really have anything to add from my last presentation. So in summary, These amendments seek to remove those unnecessary hurdles that were contained in the original ordinance and more closely align our ordinance with the state statute. Those amendments include removing the mandatory panel of hearing officers and a requirement that they not be a previous county employee, clearly define the term of office consistent with their appointment, and allow for the county to contract with another local public agency for hearing officer services. Again, this will align our local ordinance with the state statute. So today I'm asking or recommending that you waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance amending certain sections of Chapter 2.41 of the Yuba County Ordinance Code.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, we'll open the public hearing and see if we have any board comment on this or public comment. I don't think we do. So now we can entertain a motion.
I'll move to close the public hearing and approve.
I'll second.
And requires a roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez is absent. Supervisor Blaser?
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhrer?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford?
Yes.
Supervisor Messick?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Under correspondence, Mary, I think we had one correspondence.
Yes, we do. It's agenda item 578-2024, and it is received the Yuba County Law Library Annual Report for 2023-24.
Thank you. Time for board and staff member reports. Seth, can we start with you?
Well, first, let me apologize to Randy. This is the second time you had to come out here, and we are not going to end up having that vote today for you. So you'll have to come in 2 weeks, and maybe we'll be able to function at that point. So apologies to you. Thank you to Rachel the other day. She gave me a little pep talk on economic development, gave me some suggested reading materials, and so I appreciated that as well. Things that have been going on. The employee barbecue went well. I can't go wrong with cotton candy and Dippin' Dots, so thank you. I guess I spent some time out of my district. So there was a mine in the hills that we went and visited, the Don Burrow mine. They didn't let us go in because I guess it's under 1,800 feet of water or something, and they said there was some issues with that. But otherwise, it was a very nice presentation. Learned about Cordua, our first colonist here in the county. I did not realize that. So lots of interesting information. Checked out a couple of the Marysville business openings and ribbon cuttings. We had Moonlight Magic on D Street. They do great masks and costumes, so go and buy your Halloween regalia there. And then we had ZZ Butcher Shop yesterday. Had some great bacon wrapped hot dogs and some other goodies, so fun stuff. That prompted me to then go to our business plaza in Olivehurst on Powerline, and we have a new store there for Mexican decorations for quinceañeras and whatnot. And then, of course, we have the Power Up Nutrition coming in, which I'm super excited about, smoothies. So lots of good things there. A circus tent, if you guys ever saw that we had some community activities going on. So things are happening in Olivehurst. If you want to, on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sunday mornings, the Legion serving food out there. Good grub, cheap prices, so check it out. Coming up, we have a community task force. It's going to be at the Tri-Counties Center here in Marysville on Thursday at 3:30, I think. So feel free to come out to that. And then I'll be attending a Hmong New Year's dinner in Sacramento this next week. And we also have a chili contest out of Metanoia on Dan Avenue this next Sunday, I believe, as well.
Thank you. Gary?
Couple items. So teeing off Supervisor Fuhrer's mention of food businesses. The Jamba Juice and the Pizza Hut in Plumas Lake are open, and great opportunity to get some food. They're at the 76 station on the east side of Highway 70 off Feather River Boulevard. And the Plumas Stop and Shop near Feather River and River Oaks actually has someone in there making fresh sushi now, fresh to order. And so it's very good. It's getting rave reviews from the community. So if you're looking for
Where
some
is it
sushi
again?
in the Plumas Lake area,
The gas station sushi.
but it is fresh sushi. It's not in a package sitting on a shelf. There is someone in there that makes it just like at a sushi restaurant. So it's very good. Highly recommend it. I had the Plumas roll. It was good. So, and I'm generally not a fan of gas station sushi. I've made the mistake of having it a couple times. So it's very good. Also, this last weekend was Oktoberfest in Plumas Lake, and I want to thank the Sheriff's Department and Linda Fire for being out there. It was a great turnout, continues to grow every year. Another great annual event. I think this was the 3rd annual, and I look forward to the 4th annual next year. And then just one more thing. I missed our meeting 2 weeks ago because I was back in Virginia at Langley Air Force Base meeting with the commander for Air Combat Command, which is essentially the colonel in charge of Beale, his boss's boss, and we were back there advocating for bringing a collaborative combat aircraft mission to Beale Air Force Base. And I think those meetings went very, very well. They were very well received, and we had some great conversations both with basing folks as well as with the general that was the commander. And we also were able to talk to the chief scientists for Air Combat Command as well about opportunities for research and things like that related to the research center that we're working on in the Wheatland area. So it was a great trip.
Thank you. And Mr. Messick.
Okay. Well, since Supervisor Vasquez is sick today, I'll pitch this for him. The Yuba County Be Prepared Fair is this Thursday, October 10th, from 3:30 to 7 p.m. at 1000 Lyndhurst Avenue, Linda. So I'm sure Sheriff's Department and everybody's going to be there. It's been held up in Brownsville and in different locations in the hills, and I'm glad to see it's going to be down here. And I'm going to do I'll be able to attend that. I'm greened out on walnuts right now, so I have a few days off. But other than that, no sense in repeating all the events we've all kind of been to together. And the airport open house, 75th anniversary of the airport was a great deal. And
Yeah, that was good.
yeah,
I've never seen planes like that. Very unique.
yeah, there's some really unique airplanes at the Yuba County Airport. Mine's extremely unique, so I didn't even bring it out. So.
Thank you. So County Council, anything?
I attended the annual conference of county councils last week, and that was the reason I had to miss the employee barbecue. I'm very sorry. And that was put on by the County Councils Association. And then just yesterday, I attended the Care Court Cohort 2 pre-launch meeting in Sacramento put on by the state. There was lots of good information there. And then I'm still currently recruiting for an attorney.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yeah, so the employee barbecue, we had about 560 people attend the barbecue, had another 80 to-go meals to give to staff that are working in the jail, juvenile hall, out on patrol, et cetera. So that was kind of a record for us as far as attendance. We also tried out the fundraiser dunk tank this year. It was our kind of a first try at that. We had the donations going to Agents of Change, raised roughly $1,000 with the dunk tank. We'll send out a little recap, email all staff here later this week with some photos, et cetera. On the prepared fair, there's, thanks for the reminder, Supervisor Messick, it's roughly 28 agencies, I think, have signed up somewhere around in there for the event. So it should be a pretty full house. It's something we've started a few years back, and so we like to alternate, do it twice a year, one for fire preparedness in the foothills and one for flood preparedness in the valley. And then actually today is, I believe, that Cascade Fire anniversary, tomorrow. All right. Yes. Under Sheriff Morozinski knows it well. He definitely him and his family lived through that. So that was definitely a devastating fire for our community, La Marica community. 4 lives lost. I think it was over 140 homes lost. And it was about 10,000 acres burned just overnight, like just in a matter of hours. So it can happen fast.
Yeah.
All right. And that's
So-
all I've got.
Kevin, how many times were you dunked in the dunk tank?
I kind of lost track. I was roughly 20 times. It was
Really?
Yeah, we actually have some staff with really good aim. So we had some that they'd get 3 balls and they hit all 3 times, kind of thing. So
I think we have some other participants in the audience that were involved in that.
Yes, we have Mr. Perkins out there that had a share of dunks. So
if you ever get on that list, you want Ian Scott to be your backup because Ian took my spot and I was very appreciative.
Thank you. Mary, anything from your office?
No, nothing. Thank you.
Oh, can I add one more thing?
No.
Since Sam's here. So I take my semi-trailers every year for hogs and hulas up at Sycamore Ranch. And the public works staff up there and the gentleman that runs the park, just above and beyond helpful to help me get a set of doubles in and out of there. Because every year, I've been doing it since year 1. Every year I say if the county plants a new tree or puts a new sign up, it's awful difficult to get a set of doubles in and around down there at the park. But they just went above and beyond to help me this year. My normal guy that brings a hay squeeze couldn't do it. And the public works department and the gentleman that runs the park are just above and beyond to help me. Finally got my trailers out yesterday. So just want to thank Public Works for that.
So I've got one event tomorrow, downtown D Street between 3rd and 4th at 4 o'clock, Marysville Joint Unified as a college and career block party. So it's kind of loosely tied to career technical education, but they have food and music, exploring career technical education, student demonstrations, various industry partners, college partners like Chico State, Sac State, Yuba College, UC Davis will all be there. And there's college workshops and a community impact award. So this is tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock, downtown Marysville. Should be good. Career technical education is just a wonderful program that is through most high schools, but it's really an opportunity for kids to decide what their career path is going to be. That's all I got. So we are going to take a social break. And we will be doing that for 10 minutes, and then we're going into closed session, and then we'll be back.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.live, in the heart of our